Yeah, they were all there in the conversation pit. Doug, Charles Paisley, the baby crusher, and a man named Kierkegaard, who just kept biting the head off whippets. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. My God, horrors, horrors, possible fraud at Fannie Mae may have brought about the destruction of Fannie Mae and the buyout that we have just seen by the Federal Reserve and the shoring up thereof. Oh my God, I cannot believe it. Fraud. Oh, what's this world come to? A bunch of fucking greedy bankers and corporate executives trying to defraud the American people. Why, it's unheard of. It's just another fucking day of the week for the United States corporate fascist state. In other news, Lehman Brothers finally succumbs after months of rumors and innuendo moving in the direction towards bankruptcy. They finally did declare bankruptcy today. AIG is looking for a $40 billion loan from the Federal Reserve in order to stay afloat. It's another giant conglomerate ready to bite the dust. And Merril Lynch narrowly avoids bankruptcy and succeeds in selling itself to Bank of America for $50 billion. And in all of this fiasco and the continued economic and market meltdown in this country, more and more it has been pointed out to me by this news that there is a tremendous parallel between what's going on now and what happened in the Great Depression, because we have more and more companies, banks, brokerage firms, etc., which are failing. And when they fail, they're being bought up or shored up by larger corporations and larger finance houses. This is the same exact scenario that happened during the Great Depression, where small town banks failed, bigger banks took them over, and when companies went bankrupt, larger finance companies, larger financial entities stepped in and bought them for pennies when they had become worthless. And that's what led to the great corporate fascist state that we have today. So I see the same exact scenario playing out again, in that we're headed for another great crash. And in order for that to continue along the same lines as the Great Depression, I predict that the Federal Reserve will continue to keep interest rates low and may in fact reduce them even further in order to keep this mad machine running. And so that's my prediction for the short term at least, and maybe even into next year or possibly beyond that, depending on what happens. But the market meltdown will continue, and not only will it continue in that vein, but I predict that it will go all the way to a Great Depression, another Great Depression that is going to absolutely crush the economy in this country, and it's going to have reverberations around the fucking world. So mark my words on that. Economic and financial chaos. Another type of chaos happened this week with Hurricane Ike, which really hit Texas really hard. And you know, looking at satellite imagery and the damage that came from this hurricane, it just caused me to wonder, and apparently some other people have wondered about this as well, and that is the the unnatural nature of this storm. And it was just so fucking enormous. I mean, it practically filled the entire Gulf of Mexico. And it was just something that I don't remember ever seeing before at such a scale. So that made me wonder, is it possible that Ike could have been a form of weather warfare? Now, everybody should know that the U.S. government is looking into weather modification and its use in warfare, because whoever controls the weather can control the battlefield. And it's entirely possible that the U.S. has techniques to change and manipulate the weather. It's also fairly well known that the USSR did a lot of investigation into this area, which may use Tesla technology and some other unique or slightly out there types of technology in ways that we did not previously envision, in an effort to control, modify, and or use weather as a weapon. So Russia, being the heir to the USSR, may have inherited some of this technology, and this may be one way of them striking at us. Although I think it's much more likely that the neocons and the fascist stormtrooper brigade that is currently occupying the fucking White House would do this against its own people in a further effort to erode national morale and to usher in martial law and a total police state takeover of the entire fucking country. That's a much more likely scenario. If there is something to it being man-made, which I'm not saying that it is, but it's certainly possible. Technology that is hidden from us every day, that continues to be hidden from us, is so advanced, I believe, that a lot of it would look like almost magic, just like Arthur C. Clarke would describe sufficiently advanced technologies. We're 20, 30 years away, with military technology being so far ahead of what's in the civilian sector, that a lot of what they have, I'm sure, is just almost magic. So I do think that weather warfare is something that could, and maybe does, happen. Thank you. Good night.